There's a good chance you've been fooled by an AI-generated image, but people have been falling for fake photographs for over 150 years. The first ones just featured ghosts. Welcome to the Goodish News channel. I'm Ashley, and I'm here to bring you stories to distract you from the daily dumpster fire of depressing news. Before the invention of photography, the only images that people had to rely on were drawings or paintings. The problem with that was you were relying on the perspective of the artist. They could change whatever they wanted. Paintings could lie, but cameras supposedly couldn't. Most people didn't understand how a camera worked, let alone how photographs were made. Pictures were treated almost like objective evidence. This blind trust set the stage for tricky opportunists. In 1861, William Mumler supposedly accidentally produced his first spirit photograph. He showed it to his friend, joking that it was his dead cousin standing alongside him. Super funny joke. The friend was a big believer in spiritualism, and he believed that this image was a genuine miracle from the afterlife. Word got around, and people wanted to have their photographs taken by Mumler. Once Mumler realized that people were taking this seriously and willing to pay for it, he expanded the lie. People began hiring him to photograph them with their dead loved ones. His reputation grew exponentially. People could not believe that they were seeing their dead family member in the same image that they were in. They didn't question how he did it, but they truly believed it. Most spirit photographs relied on something called double exposure. This is when two images are combined into one, creating this ghostly figure. The technique is surprisingly simple, and now I'm going to show you how it's done. First, I set up my camera on a tripod, and I take a picture of myself standing in one location. The camera remains in place, but then I move and I take a second picture. Now I combine those two photographs in Photoshop, and voila. And now suddenly I'm in two different realms at the same time. Now I did the modern version of this technique, but the same visual principle fooled people 150 years ago. Historians aren't 100% certain on Mumler's techniques, but they have some pretty good ideas. One theory is that he took photographs of his wife Hannah and some of his assistants dressed up as ghostly apparitions. Then he would combine those negatives with the negative of the client. The studio controlled every part of the process, and development was done behind closed doors. Clients only saw the final print. And Hannah said that she was a medium, so she would chat with the client and talk about their lost loved one, getting clues as to what they might have looked like, what color of hair they had, what color of eyes, whether they were tall or short. Then she'd relay this information to Mumler, who would find a subject that fit the bill. Along with photography being treated as objective truth, there was also this spiritualism movement going on. The Civil War had decimated families and communities, and the families left behind were desperate to contact their lost loved ones. And if you've ever experienced grief, you know that it changes how you see. People were seeing their dead loved ones in these photographs because they wanted to see their dead loved ones in these photographs. Mumler's popularity spread like wildfire because he was offering people hope. But with this rise in popularity, skeptics were trying to figure out what he was actually doing. In 1863, some of his Boston clients began looking at their photographs and noticed something really strange. The ghosts of their deceased relatives were actually local Boston residents who were walking around alive and well. One specific spirit, I'm using that term loosely, was identified as a completely healthy, living woman who had had her picture taken previously by Mumler. He'd gotten sloppy and started reusing images of his previous clients. We're working with a genius here, people. Skeptics were trying really hard to debunk Mumler and his methods, but no one could quite figure it out. But eventually he was arrested and charged with fraud, and he went on trial. But because the prosecution couldn't explain exactly how he produced his photographs, he was acquitted. Public opinion remained divided. Some people were still hardcore believers, and other people saw him for what he was, a total fraud. In 1865, President Lincoln was assassinated, and a grieving Mary Todd Lincoln was desperate to contact her husband. She reportedly visited Mumler under an assumed name and wearing a disguise. And Mumler produced his most famous photograph of Mary Todd Lincoln with Abraham Lincoln standing behind her. Mumler figured out who she was, and he was able to produce the famous photograph. Spirit photography feels unbelievable today, but the photographs took advantage of people's deepest desires and ignorance. They had no idea what was actually going on. But every generation eventually figures out that it too can deceive. AI-generated images today are forcing all of us to question everything we see. Can I just tell you how bummed I was when I found out that the video of the bear jumping on the trampoline was fake? Don't mess with my heart like that. If you've ever mistaken a fake image for a real one, you're not alone. And it's probably a good reminder that you can't believe everything you see, which is kind of sad. But also, let's use some critical thinking, okay? If you're looking for more good news in your life, be sure to check out this video right here. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing so we can ignore all the bad news together.